rather die than return to Nicaragua. Nicaragua under massive sanctions from the United States. Here's a headline. I mean, thanks, United States, for what you've done in Nicaragua with what'd you call them? Deadening sanctions or sanctions?
Oh, sanctions of mass destruction.
Sanctions of mass destruction. So yeah, but you've destabilized entire countries, and so this is why you look at where it all starts. Why would anyone want to leave their country? Like, why? If you live in Nicaragua,
you're saying that, but
it doesn't suit you anymore because it's falling apart.
Yes.
And so these people are leaving because their country's falling apart. Look at Guatemala. Look at Honduras. So a majority of those people coming up through Mexico, I mean, they're coming from all of those countries that we've destabilized through our policies and sanctions. So the Biden administration is totally asleep at the wheel of this. President Biden went to Arizona. I don't know if you guys caught this. And last week, and then confirms what we all knew, that he doesn't give a shit about this one bit on the border crisis. A reporter asks him, why would you visit our state and then not visit the border?
Boring to drive?
Let's be honest. Rent a car. State and not visit the border.
Because there's more important things going on. They're going to invest billions of dollars in a new enterprise.
There's more important things going on.
Enterprise is more important.
Yeah, they're going to do some investment deal at some factory.
Is that the Apple thing that's going on?
Yeah, it was the Apple event. It was the Apple, like they're going to...
And what really pisses me off is how they just say, oh, all we're going to do is just throw some sanctions on it. But people don't generally realize people die from sanctions because they can't get medication, they can't get insulin, babies can't get food. Like, it is an act of war, but they just sell it like, oh, it's not a big deal. We're not going to put boots on the ground. We're just going to sanction them.
Yeah.
Right. And look, I'm a compassionate person. Like these people coming across the border, I would absolutely want to help them. We're all human, right? We all want to help other humans.
Yes.
It's a humanitarian crisis. We've created this. In the same way that night after night on this show, we're calling out the bullshit that the United States does around the world. Hey, get out of Yemen, for crying out loud. You've created a genocide there. Hey, maybe get out of Syria. You've stolen their oil. You've basically created another genocide in Syria. Like, we just want to keep going on and on and on with this around the world.
And governments are planned around a certain number of people that they can maintain. People die, people are born, people immigrate. That has to be accounted for, or else we have an unsustainable society. You and I, who are expats, who have residency visa to live in because we realize that country has the right to set its rules, and we have to follow the rules in order to be guests and live there.
Right.
And that's not a racist thing to say. That's not an exclusionary thing to say. It's just the fact that a society cannot sustain itself if there's no basic accounting for who lives there and who it can sustain.
Poland, just as an example, Poland is collapsing right now. 1 million Ukrainians. No one's covering the story. 1 million Ukrainians are now in Poland, and talk to folks who just got back from Poland. We're talking to sources in the government in Poland who said it's a disaster. Like, they are collapsing. They can't take care of these people. It's a total disaster.
Well, Sweden has had an influx of immigrants from the Middle East that are coming from war-torn areas, and because Sweden offers full medical health care, a certain amount of basic income, that government is collapsing as well, because they have basically opened their borders and given full-on, everything to people who come in there, and it's just, if you can't account for it, if you can't afford it, you cannot expect a government to sustain itself. It's just not possible.
So they've had a lot of
parents. That's the sad thing about it, because there's so many countries over there that really want to help these people. It's like it's a humanitarian thing.
Sure.
It's like at some point you have to put on your own oxygen mask before somebody else's. You have to, otherwise you're going to be in the same situation.
Or maybe don't support terrorists in Syria so that people can live there who like living in Syria, who want to be Syrian.
Yeah,
how about that?
Just think about if we, because I saw someone write this in the chat a few minutes ago, super chat, said if the United States would stop the interventions, we would stop the border invasion. Think about that for a second. Just think about it as it's a mind, it really is. If you think about this, if we actually stopped spending $800 billion a year on our defense budget and invading other countries and destabilizing the Middle East and Haiti, which we're doing right now, and Syria and Latin America, if we would stop doing that, this would end. This would end. This wouldn't be the same problem. And then that $800 billion, we could work with other governments to figure out ways bring other solutions to those countries. Instead, we use it for war and destabilization to enrich ourselves. So at the heart of all of this is...
Have our interventions, though, since like, you know, post World War II, has the U.S. kind of like the CIA era, like all of our interventions, when has a single one of them worked or ended up making the place we went better? I honestly can't think of a single one. I mean, like, it wasn't creating the Mujahideen. It wasn't. I can't think of anything we were involved in where our intervention has actually had a net positive for the place we intervened. I can't think of one.
Drag queens in Peru are...
If anyone has an answer to Philip in the chat, let us know. Anybody? Bueller?
Well, and also, like, think about our foreign policy. Like, think about if somebody were to... We're going to strike Chicago and New York. So you think about all the little burbs and towns outside of those big cities. All those big city people would have to go somewhere, so they start going into these little areas. So that's what they're talking about with destabilization. They hit these targets, and all of these people are displaced. They can't find anywhere to go inside their own country, so they have to go outside of it. And it's like that's like a strategic thing that we do is destabilization. Like, we do that intentionally.
I've been talking about it's the destabilization on purpose. So 100 million people come into the United States and forever alter the landscape and voting rules. Completely, force us into this new World Economic Forum-based globalist agenda. So they have total control, they can hand out digital currency, and they control everything that you do. But at the heart of this is human beings, right? Babies. They've had so many parents streaming across the border with little babies. They have no space for them. They have no place for them to sleep. And listen to CBS explain this with what they're dealing with at these border centers. Watch.
Overwhelmed, the Border Patrol has been busing refugees to Lake Barrow's homeless shelter in El Paso by the hundreds.
Had to resort to turning people away. There was no place else to put them. But if they come in with an infant, then we find some space somewhere.
On the floor if you have to.
Well, sure.
We no longer know how to live without refrigerators, without cars, without phones, without supermarkets. What will you do tomorrow?
Babies.
I don't know if you guys have watched the Netflix series Swimmers. Have you guys seen that yet?
No.
I highly recommend it. It's about 2 Syrian swimmers who are forced to leave their country because they're going to perform the Olympics, and they're forced to leave the war-torn Syria. And it's like this story of how they have to escape Syria, and there's a baby on these boats, and they're on this raft that these people sold them for like $2,000, and it's losing air across the water, and there's a baby. It's just... I didn't want to watch it because I was like, oh, that doesn't look good. And then I watched it, I was like, holy cow, it's amazing. And it's a true story just to show you what those people go through to get out of those areas.
And a lot of times they get stuck in Istanbul, they get stuck in Greece, and they, are trying to get further and further west. And then when they get to the UK, where a lot of them want to go, they're not guaranteed asylum. They have to have some paperwork showing that they've been persecuted. Not if you're Ukrainian, you could.
Yeah, you're Ukrainian.
But brown people absolutely are not guaranteed asylum in these places, and then what? And then they're shipped off to where?
They have to pay off the coyotes, they have to pay off the mafia, they have to pay off the cartels, they have to pay off all these people in order to get there. And they're
not in the Middle East.
And they were like they had to pay for buses, and then a couple times they got scammed. Like, people didn't show up and drop them off in the middle of nowhere, and then the police grabbed them. Like, so this whole way they're like spending money that they don't even have to potentially get. It's just like I could not wish that on my worst enemy to have to go through something like that, and we're doing it to innocent children.
Yeah. Let us know your thoughts on this. We'll be watching this very closely. 6 days until this Title 42 expires, and we will be watching it every step of the way. We've got more news to get to. Dr. Asim Malhorta is going to be joining us in just a little while, and we're going to also be joined by Mike Jones. We're going to be talking about Serbia and the false flag that could unfold in Serbia as well. We've got a lot of news to get to.
But first, I'm going to ask you, did you read a lot of books in 2022?
Yes.
Are you happy with the books that you read, or would you like to add some more to your repertoire? One way to do that is to get an Audible subscription. Whether you're doing chores, whether you're driving, to find adventures and add more books to your personal library. They have stories told by the biggest stars like Ethan Hawke, Kerry Washington, and Kevin Hart. You read Ethan Hawke's book, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was it called?
Called The Night something.
And you really liked it.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah. You know, and so I'm reading a book right now that I really like a lot called How to Raise an Adult. And fascinating, even though I read a lot of parenting books, I really like the idea of how to empower your children. So these are the types of things that I really enjoy. Audible is the home of storytelling with all of your audio entertainment in just one app. You find the best of what you love or something new to discover. They have an incredible selection of audiobooks across every genre, bestsellers, new releases, celebrity memoirs, thrillers, what have you.
It's
You
really fun to
can
read
choose
back
as
home.
an Audible member one title
Somewhat.
per month to keep from their category, including the bestsellers and new releases. So we have a family Audible subscription, and Clayton usually is the one who manages it. And so a lot of times I'll say, honey, can we have this book next with our one credit? And he'll just be like, done, you got it. And I'm like, you're like my beast. And I really, you know, she loves books because whatever I want, my husband gets me. Any book I want. It's like, that's the most romantic gesture when he does that and I ask him for a book and he just magically makes it appear. I feel like I married the right man. So, you too can give the gift of Audible or give the person that you share your life with a family subscription and get them any book they want. They will love you for it. Let Audible...
Over the weekend, stun grenades thrown at EU police in North Kosovo, and Serbs police opened fire on each other, according to reports in Western media. What's the truth of what's happening in Serbia? For that, we turn to Serbian journalist Tesha Teshikova.
Oh, these guys are really smart, hiding away from the sunlight. Oh, this guy is smart. They go into my farm.
Love to cut through the
Come on, but you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. Can't be in there.
Reports, of course, in the BBC and other places about rising tensions, about Serbs fighting against police, firing weapons. What can you tell us, first of all, what's going on, and then we'll kind of dive into the why of it all.
This $60 bathroom stone is the last bath mat you'll ever buy.
Fabric bath mats can be a...
Well, currently you have barricaded in north of Kosovo. Just to give you a little bit of a context, there are ethnical divisions in Kosovo, and north of Kosovo is mostly populated by ethnic Serbs who basically don't recognize the independence of Kosovo. And during the last 15 years, ever since the so-called as part of the police, as part of the judicial system, as part of the municipalities. So the Serbs have decided to leave that system because they see that within that system there is a strong bias for discrimination of the ethnic Serbs, and now they have made some sort of barricades in order to protect their own interests from the attacks of the special forces of state of Kosovo. That there are great tensions there on the field of Kosovo, but the tensions themselves are nowhere near
fucking hell.
And EU that is outside at this moment. But if you ask for a context, why is this happening now? It is very clear. We have inside the Schengen zone, we have inflation, we have energy crisis, we have the problem with the refugees from the Ukraine crisis, we have the billions and billions going to arm a conflict that the West is now taking part in Ukraine. And because of that, we need some kind of a false flag attacks.
Repeatedly in other countries, we know these false flag attacks happen. NATO, the United States, is very good at putting out these false flags, putting protesters in, who stir up violence, to attack quote unquote peaceful police who are there as peacekeepers, and then of course everything spirals out of control, and they use that as a justification for a broader invasion. So is that the larger goal here? Some sort of a larger presence of NATO forces once again in Serbia?
Yeah, like you have said it yourself, it is basically a textbook scenario. First you create a problem, and then you position yourself as a problem solver. I guess the only way to increase the presence of NATO troops and to get, for example, World Congress to approve more, for example, bigger military budget for the Balkans or some extra military bases here or something like that, is to have a crisis here. And because you don't have really a crisis at this moment, because no matter how bad the relations between so-called state of Kosovo, Serbia, or other ethnic groups in the region are, they are not as near as bad as someone in Washington, D.C. or someone in this state wants it. So I guess that if you create a false flag attack, and if then on the other side some people act with more temper than they should and react to those attacks with violence, we could create a very dangerous scenario. They could create a very dangerous scenario that could lead to some additional bases, maybe extra military operations here.
What is the comments?